And we are live. Big sign across the front saying you are live. Welcome back and welcome to another Vlogmas video. If you are new here, my name is Katrina and I have a special guest with me today. I hope that this is the same side as you are seeing. Everything's back to front and mirrored. So this is my mum. This is Linda.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
And she has been on the channel before, sitting next to me in front of these bookshelves here. And I've also been there filming. But through the wonders of technology, we can be live together, even though we are 5,000 miles apart, which is pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah.
So today we are going to be talking about our top 10 festive reads of 2020. I want you to let us know in the comments if you would like us to do another video with festive reads of all time, because these are all specific to 2020, books that have come out this year that we've enjoyed. We're doing 5 each. We've been very, very regimented as to doing 5 each. But let us know in the comments if you would like to see another video with our top 10 festive books of all time. And all of the books that we are talking about will be linked in the description box below in case you haven't managed to get your hands on them yet and you need some festive reading in December. So yes, I will also leave my Vlogmas playlist linked up above in case you have missed any videos once this is all live. But if you are joining us live now, welcome and cheers. I do have a festive coffee with me today, of course. So let us know in the comments if you are drinking anything festive. What are you drinking, Mum?
I have a very festive Sprite in my hand here.
Did it actually come in a festive can?
No, it did not.
Oh, because I have seen the festive cans.
Ah, well, they haven't reached Knaresborough as yet, but there's always time.
Okay. So before we get into the top 10, I have a special mention because there is a 2020 release that is not a Christmas book, but some of it takes place around Christmas time. And if you are looking for a non-Christmas festive read, then this is a great one for you. So this is The Winter Garden by Heidi Swain, and I can't cope with this mirroring back to frontness. And I did a live interview with Heidi here on this channel. In case you missed it, after we're all uploaded, I will link it up above. But this one I like because it is a winter book that's not necessarily a Christmas book. So when it's starting to get colder, it's starting to move from autumn into winter, this is a great one to read. And this one takes place in Nightingale Square. If you are a fan of Heidi Swain's books, you'll know that she has ones that take place in Wimbridge and ones that take place in Nightingale Square. So just a special mention for that one before we get into all the Christmas books. I hope you don't mind me sneaking that one in there. So since you are the guest on my channel, I will hand over to you and let you talk about your first favourite Christmas read of 2020. I am going to bring up the picture now. Hey.
Okay, well, just before I start talking about the surprise Christmas wedding, thank you very much, Katrina, for inviting me on your channel. Always
welcome.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say at the outset that choosing just 5 Christmas books was quite difficult for me because I have read rather a lot, maybe more than is really healthy for a person, but I have read quite a lot. So I have chosen these 5. They're in no particular order. I would hate to be able to say what my favourite read of this Christmas was, but I have done my best and hope that all the authors think I can do them justice. Okay, so the first one is A Surprise Christmas Wedding by Phillipa Ashley, one of my go-to authors, I'd have to say. Phillipa Ashley, as anybody who reads her books will know, is very much at home in Cornwall. And I was truly expecting this was going to be Cornwall, but of course the cover doesn't even look remotely like Cornwall. So to my great pleasure, the action takes place in the Lake District, which is one of my favourite parts of England. And I thought, I wonder what the surprise Christmas wedding is going to be. And it turned out to be quite different, really. It turned out to be a wedding that was going to take place at a big country house in the Lake District. And the surprise was to do with the bride and groom. And we're having no spoilers, I believe.
No spoilers on this channel.
No spoilers. So I can't really say more about the plot than that, except to say that it was a really, really heartwarming read. And I think that's a very much an overused word, but it was heartwarming. It's full of really interesting characters. And the characters have got their own stories as well as the main story, which I think always adds a nice dimension to a tale. So
we like some decent side characters.
yes, and there was a lovely dog in it as well, which
classic
always goes well with me, a nice Labrador. So yes, and plenty, as the cover suggests, plenty of snow, which at times caused a bit of trouble. But there we are, going plot spoiler again. So anyway, I could highly recommend A Surprise Christmas Wedding.
Fabulous. Thank you. So we're going to take it in turns. So I think this was possibly my first Christmas read of the year, but don't hold me to that. This is All About Us by Tom Ellen. You might know Tom Ellen from his books that he's written with Lucy Iveson. There was a book called Lobsters. I can't remember the name of the US title, but I was suckered into it being that much of a different title that I got it from the library thinking it was a different book, and I picked it up and I was like, this is the same book. I have read this book. So this one is a bit of a Christmas Carol retelling. So if you are a fan of the Christmas Carol retellings at Christmas, I know there have been many of them, but this one features rather than meeting sort of your Marley or your kind of Ghost of Christmas past initially, we start the time travel by meeting a watch seller in a pub on Christmas Eve. So it's definitely got a good twist on here. And initially I didn't, it was one of those where I didn't read the blurb. And so initially I was like, what's going on here? Are we time traveling? I didn't expect time traveling in this. And when I kind of picked up on the fact that it was a Christmas Carol retelling, I was like, okay, I am here for this. So I really like the modern twist on it. And I started off, it's a bit of a, not a love triangle situation, but you know, there's a lady from his past and there's the lady he's with now. And I started off rooting for one of them. And then by the time I got towards the end of the book, in the third act, I was like, nope, not doing her anymore. And not just because she criticized teaching as a profession. I mean, that's unforgivable anyway. Yeah. But there were other things that she did. And so it's rare that I root for one love interest and then change my mind. And obviously, I won't tell you how the ending happened, but I really enjoyed this one. And even if you don't like a kind of time travel book, when you put it in the context of A Christmas Carol, totally works, because I'm not normally one for time travel, but I really liked this one. And it was refreshingly different from a lot of Christmas books I've read. And the fact that our main character is male as well. So yeah, something a bit different. So yes, let me get your next book up for you if you are ready.
Yes, indeed.
There we go.
Ah, yes. Now, I'm not sure what other people will think looking at this cover, but I thought this was just the most beautiful Christmassy cover out there at the minute.
It is stunning.
You could not actually walk past this book and think, oh no, I don't fancy that.
It's like you need it as part of your Christmas decorations.
It would actually be quite good. I could buy a few copies and hang it around the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, many congratulations to Carole Matthews for coming up with this cover, because I could look at it all day. It's lovely. Anyway, the book itself, Christmas for Beginners, is actually a sequel to an earlier book by Carole, which was called Happiness for Beginners. And I actually read that one quite close to this one. So I had all the characters in my mind when I was reading this one. It's one of those cases where really you wouldn't have to have read the first one to appreciate this book, but there's no harm in it at all. I think they make a lovely pair, and I do wonder if there's going to be another something for beginners coming along. I think that would be quite nice, but there's no mention of that, so we'll just have to hope.
Carole Matthews, we need a third book.
Perhaps she's already written it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is set it's set in the same place as Happiness for Beginners was set, which is a lovely farm which is run by a very dedicated young lady. And the farm has got on it some poor abandoned animals or donated animals, some of whom have a funny quirk about them, some of whom have a very, very strange personality defect, you might call it, or you might call it an interesting personality. And the antics of these animals lend a lot of comedy to the story. And they were all lovely, and I wanted to take them all home with me. And my favourite were a trio of quite naughty alpacas, which I thought could fit in my back garden, no problem at all. Anyway, as I say, it's a sequel to an earlier book. All the same characters are there, with a few extras coming along, as you find with sequels. And we've got a little bit of romance going on. And I'd have to say that Katrina was just talking about love interests. And I would have to say that one of the guys in there, I just couldn't take to at all. And I was like rooting for the heroine of the tale to have nothing to do with him. But which is quite unusual. But anyway, there we are. So again, there was some nice backstories for the characters, and unusually, well, I think unusually, there was some poetry in this book. One of the characters, a young lad, is a budding poet, and very nicely inserted into the text here and there, in appropriate places, obviously, was one of his poems. And I very much enjoyed that. And at the end of the book, the poems are there in isolation, so you can read them.
Nice.
And that was quite an unusual little addition, I felt. So yes, so that's Christmas for Beginners with its lovely curved cover. And
you listened to this one on audiobook, right?
I did, yes.
So yes. How was listening to the poems on audiobook?
It was good. The reader, the narrator, sorry, I thought she did a good job. I thought she'd put it over in the way that character would have actually meant it to be told. And I thought she did very well, yes.
Very cool. If you are just joining us, we are talking about our top 10 festive reads of 2020. And I asked you to let us know in the comments, or if you're watching this afterwards, if you would like to have a video with us talking about our top 10 festive reads of all time. So books that you can still get your hands on, but not necessarily ones that have come out this year. So just in case you are just jumping in now, and we also want to know if you are drinking any festive drinks right now, because it is Friday night after all. So I am going to talk about my next book, which I did read during a reading vlog here on this channel. So you may have already heard me talk about this one. And I had this author on my channel when she was just putting the finishing touches to this book. So I was very, very excited. It's definitely it's probably my most anticipated Christmas read this year. So I was very excited to read it, and I basically read it all in one sitting. And all you really need to know about this one is that this is the Christmas where anything that could go wrong in a funny, not really, not in a 2020 way, but in a like funny comedic way, goes wrong in this family Christmas. And as I was reading it, it's one of those books that it just plays out in front of you like a movie. This would make an amazing, specifically British Christmas movie. You know, all those people that are in like your British sitcoms, I could plug them in as all of our main characters and like have them just playing out. You know that scene in A Family Stone where Sarah Jessica Parker's taking the like big dessert out of the fridge ready to put in the oven for Christmas morning breakfast, and then they open the door and everyone slips on it and everyone's covered in it and tables break and vegetables go everywhere. That's like every page in this book. It's so fun. And yet there's this real heart in there as well. So it just has that element of like comedy. It's got a good story. It's got characters that you just sort of like all of them. And then it's got this heart of these people kind of trying to come together for this family Christmas. They're trying their best. And it's not going exactly according to plan. But yes, it was just such a good time, and I could totally see it as a movie. We just have Hayley is with us and she is drinking a peppermint latte, which is good. Is it like a peppermint mocha? Did you put chocolate in there as well, Hayley, or did you just use the peppermint? I was slightly instrumental in the peppermint coming to Hayley, I will say. And also, if it's on your TBR, One Family Christmas by Bella Osborne, you need to read it. Absolutely. After you finish doing your buddy read with me, though. But yes, we have people joining us. Okay, let us move on to the next book, which I believe you are going to be talking about. Here we are.
Ah, yes. Sarah Morgan. She's one of my favourite Christmas authors. She always brings out a lovely book at Christmas. And this one is transatlantic in that all the most of the characters start off in America and they fly across to Scotland for their Christmas holiday. And it's absolutely amazing. I just so love this book. I felt so immersed in it that I really felt when I stopped reading that it should still be snowy outside. It's so good, as her books usually are. As I say, most of the characters started in America. Obviously, there are the characters that are already in Scotland, amongst whom is one of the gorgeous men of this Christmas, I think, Mr. Brodie McIntyre. And he owns the big house that all the American people go to stay in for their Christmas holiday. And he is just gorgeous. And again, we've got some nice animals there. There's a lovely dog, which always makes the book good, I think. A lovely dog and some reindeer this time. And then there is the big house set in amongst the pine woods, and there is the loch and the little house by the loch. It's all just such a beautiful setting. And we've got a bit of comedy, but it's a really good family story, a family who's been broken to pieces, or two families broken to pieces actually, and they're all hopefully coming together. And the power of just the peace and quiet of the Scottish Highlands. So it's very good for people who love Scottish Highlands, or might be made to love Scottish Highlands just reading this book. Just how people who don't believe in Christmas can just suddenly find actually it is quite a magical time of the year. So I thought this was just a lovely all-round book, with lots and lots of nice touches in it to appeal to all sorts of people, I think.
There we go.
Yeah.
Haley also has this one on her Kindle.
Oh,
Haley,
wow.
you need to do some Christmas reading with your peppermint latte.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it, Haley. I'm sure you will.
And this one has a dog in it. And did you say A Surprise Christmas Wedding also has the dog in it? Was that
Yes.
one that had a dog in it? And
Yes,
then
it had Labrador.
One Family Christmas also has a dog in it. That they're always kind of instrumental to the story in some way.
Yes. Of course, the Christmas for Beginners was full of animals, so including dogs. Plural.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for dogs in your festive reads, apparently 2020 is the year for you. I feel like I should talk about my book that's set in the Scottish Highlands with a character called Brodie now as well. I was going to jump onto something else next, but oh no, I wasn't. I had it already set up. I was already going to talk about this one next. So this is Hopeful Hearts at Glendale Hall. I literally just finished reading this, but I predicted that it was going to be on this list anyway. So this one is the third book in the Glendale Hall series. And if you have been enjoying this series, whether you want to see this as a good thing or not, we now know that Victoria Walters has written Glendale Hall book 4. But when you're reading this one, there are points in it when I'm like, is this going to be in the sequel? Is this what's happening with this character? Or like, I could see something happening there in the sequel. So Brodie was the minister from the previous book, the second book in the Glendale Hall series. And so we do get a little bit of him in this book because he was very much a favourite character of mine. So I was pleased to see him back again, and we get to catch up with all the characters from the first 2 books, which is very nice. And most importantly, the Christmas tree trail is back. It's back early in this book. And so we get to go and walk down that Christmas tree trail. And I appreciated the extra detail that the Christmas tree trail had a carpet put down because it was for an event and we didn't want to get guests' shoes dirty. And I just really appreciated that detail. So I loved being back in the Christmas tree trail, especially with the extra carpeting. And this one features Heather and Rory, who we already met in the first 2 books, but we really get to dive into their story and how Heather has transitioned from being a librarian to being a farmer's, not wife, but partner, because she is with Rory and they have a son together who I believe is named after Victoria Walters' cat. Victoria Walters, is Harry named after your cat? Since you are here joining us, which came first, the child or the cat? Because I was like reading this and I was like, it's her cat. But this is like super festive. It's so nice to be back at Glendale Hall and in Glendale in general in the Scottish Highlands. And, calling it Hogmanay and not New Year's. I appreciate that. But also one of the lovely things that this book does is it kind of delves a little bit more into like mental health and anxiety specifically. And I really like the fact that we managed to do that in a festive romance because, I appreciate when books are specifically dealing with issues of mental health, but I love the fact that it can be alongside characters, bettering themselves and having a wonderful you know, Christmassy time and, you know, a general fabulous fiction, but the fact that we've got sort of mental health in there as an issue that's being dealt with alongside life, because that's what we have to do when we're taking care of our mental health. We have to do it at the same time as living our lives. So I really did enjoy this book, but I'm like, oh no, there's going to be another book, which is great. But like, oh, I have to wait for it now. This is bad. Okay, we have an answer on Harry and the cat. Thank you, Victoria Walters. So yes, you did it without thinking. Yes, their son is definitely very cheeky. I like the fact that he's always on the hunt for like chocolate, biscuits, cake. I can really identify with him there in his hunt for chocolate and biscuits and cake. And I love the fact that he is sometimes a little bit of a kind of easing when a situation gets a bit tense. Harry can be there doing something cheeky and wonderful and kind of like ease the tension just a little bit. He's a really good character. I like him a lot. Yeah, and then this, unsurprisingly, it's another one that Hayley has that she needs to read. I'm sorry that we're just adding to your TBR, Hayley.
Well, you have to add me in there as well, because I've read the other, and I'd love to read this one. So
yeah, have you read both books in the series?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, and I remember Brody coming into that now.
Yes. So much. But yeah,
what's the name of the year, I think.
yeah, definitely. It's all about Brody. And yeah, thanks for being here and having us talking about your books. I love it. And Victoria has been here on the channel. We did have a chat on the channel, but maybe you could come back and talk to us about book 4. I would really like that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Victoria. Excuse me. I have to pick this up with Sarah Morgan.
Oh, that's funny. I love that. But yeah, I think you'll enjoy Hopeful Hearts at Glendale Hall. And you know, I know it's different because we're now on Rory and Heather's farm, and so again, we've got some animals. Why does my phone keep ringing? We've got some animals. It's animal themed festive reads, everybody. Animal themed festive reads.
I've got a specific dog in it, though. Big cuddly dog.
There's a very specific horse, and Victoria's going to come back. Breaking news. You heard it here first.
Something to look forward to.
Yes. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay. Are you ready to talk about your next book?
I am, indeed.
Okay. Yeah. Here we are.
Okay. So this time we have Christmas Wishes by Sue Moorcroft, another lady who always does a really nice Christmas book, one to look forward to. This one, it was very, very interesting in that we got a special trip in it to Sweden. One of the characters started off in Sweden and then ended up back in the village of Middledip, which features widely in Sue Moorcroft's books. And when she got back, she met up with an old friend from school, a man who had 2 most adorable children, not dogs.
I thought you were going to say dogs then.
No, I don't think he had time for dogs as well as the 2 little girls. Oh, they were so sweet. But they all went off on a trip to Sweden, and it was lovely. Sue Moorcroft, I know she went to Sweden to research this, and you can tell because it was all just the wonderful detail in there. I felt like I'd been to Sweden and knew all their Christmas customs by the time I'd read this. So well done on that research. It was really good. So it's a really, again, a lovely Christmassy romance, really, with our guy with his 2 little girls and struggling with work and home life and making a decision as to what his future should be, and just the two of them, the heroine and he getting together. It was lovely. And as I say, I think the trip to Sweden was great. Again, lots of snow, and not so much snow back in the UK. But yeah, again, just another nice Christmassy book, and another attractive cover, let's face it. Very nice.
Does the cottage on the cover feature in the book?
It does, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's always good. I like when, you know, you've got some cover art and you can kind of link it with what you're reading.
Yeah, you can almost envisage going in that door and finding the rooms as you've read about them, and the characters in there sitting in front of their log fire and all that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have One Snowy Week in Spring Hollow. The snow theme continues. This is by Lucy Knott, and this one starts off like your kind of classic Hallmark Christmas movie. We've got the small town, we've got the peppermint coffee, so very appropriate that Hayley has her peppermint coffee. I did have to have some peppermint coffee whilst reading this. And we've got the kind of big movie star coming back to the small town. And then we have our main character, who is called Scarlett, which is a great name. And she then kind of bucks the mold. She does not fit this mold of romance, Hallmark Christmas movies, small town festive romance, because she doesn't like the frilly dresses. She grew up wanting to be a superhero, and now she is a graphic novel or sort of comic book artist. And I love that. I love the fact that we've got this kind of classic, everything's set up for it to be a very stereotypical Christmas romance with the small town and the big shot movie star coming back, and the will they won't they romance, and all of that very much fits the mold. But then you have to really, you know, step outside your comfort zone with our main character. And the other thing that I also really loved about this book is the fact that because our movie star is basically one of these people that plays comic book hero, think you're kind of Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. type of Marvel superhero guy, we get to go to a Comic-Con as well. So I could kind of picture myself, I've only been to BookCon, obviously, but picture myself in this con setting in the Javits Centre. And I've discovered that I really like books that have these conventions that take place, because when you're in amongst all those people so passionate about the same thing in this really busy atmosphere, kind of anything can happen. And so I think it is a really good, even though this is only a very small part of this book, I really appreciated the addition of it. But yeah, the thing I really loved about this one was you've got your classic romance setup and romance setting, and you think it's gonna fit all the classic tropes, but then our main character is something else. And I really liked meeting Scarlett and getting to know her. So there we go. Are you ready to talk about your next one?
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
Okay, so this is The Cornish Cream Tea Christmas by Cressida McLaughlin. This one was published in 4 parts, 4 ebook parts, and then I'm not quite sure if it's come out in its entirety yet. But anyway, I waited till I'd read all 4 parts before I did a little review of this book. This is actually the 3rd book in a series about the cream tea bus, which sounds a bit strange, but it is absolutely wonderful. It's something that I just wish existed, or maybe it does exist. Maybe somebody could tell me if there is one somewhere.
I just stop you for 1 minute, because Hayley has helpfully found out that it is out now. So just if you're wondering, the full bind up is out now. Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, so yes, the cream tea bus is an old route master bus, which has been converted into a little cafe, basically, with seating upstairs and downstairs, and a wonderful sounding kitchen in it. I don't know how they did this, how they actually managed to make this out of the bus. The lady that owns the bus ended up in Cornwall in a fictional seaside village by the name of Porthgollow. And she ended up actually sighting the bus on by the beach there. And although it can travel around, most of the time it's there. And she serves the most wonderful cakes and sandwiches and cream teas, obviously. And it's really brought the town or the village to life. And it's just the descriptions of the actual setting are just wonderful. And you can almost feel yourself stepping off the bus onto the sand, down to the seaside. Just lovely. And as with the one I talked of earlier, where it was a sequel, you don't have to have read the other two parts to this, but again, they make just such a lovely series, and the central characters are the same, just adding more in all the time and learning more about the area that the bus is supposed to be traveling around in. This one particularly is dealing with a very fancy hotel in the village, set up on the cliffs, and they're looking at how green it is, making sure that it's as good as it can be. So we've got people that have come to investigate that, and while they're there, and a romance is brewing, obviously. It also turns out there's a bit of supernatural goings on in the hotel. So the story is emerging of what once went on, which is very interesting.
You don't expect that in a Christmas novel.
Well, you don't. No, I was quite taken aback. And what actually emerged was an amazing story. And it was because the hotel itself had been, basically there was a hotel on that site that had been knocked down, and this was all new, but the ghosts had no problem with that. They just transferred themselves into the new hotel. So that was a lovely sort of aside, as well as there being a romance going on, and the cream tea bus being central to the whole thing. Of course, some nice dogs there. There's a lovely little dog that sort of is owned by the lady that owns the bus and is always on the bus with her. But there was a dog that appeared and had something to do with the supernatural side of the story. I won't tell you any more than that.
No, but no spoilers.
No spoilers. There wasn't so much snow in Cornwall, but there was a tremendous storm that played a big part in the story. So again, just a lovely Christmassy story. Christmas is in the middle of it, and some really nice characters, and a nice, as I say, a lovely feel to the whole story of being there. And I definitely wanted to get on that bus. Just even look out the windows and see the beautiful view, as well as eat some of those lovely cakes.
Of course.
Yes. So that is my last pick for these five books.
And as I said at the beginning, all of the books are linked in the description box. And Hayley wants to share that this one is currently 99p. So the link is in the description box. If you have enjoyed the pitch of that one, you can order it for only 99p. It's pretty good.
Really.
Absolutely. And then I actually have a physical copy of my final book.
Wow.
Crazy. So this one is Oh, I can't. Why can I not deal with this mirroring? Ah, there we go. I wish it could be Christmas every day. By Millie Johnson. And again, we have the snowy scene. We have the house with all the snow, just like a lot of the books that we have. And one of the best things about this book is that on the first page, what date do we begin on? We begin on my birthday. So that's always nice. We begin on my birthday, and all these characters are on their drive to various different places for Christmas. We have sort of 3 pairs of linked characters, so 6 characters in total. So we've got this ensemble cast, a bit of a Love Actually situation going on, but they all end up snowed in this hotel in Yorkshire. And I kind of I picture it as being kind of like just off where the A1 and the A66 are somehow. I don't know why, but I could picture them all being in this like snowy setting. And then, yeah, they all end up in this hotel together, believing that the next morning they're going to wake up and all the snow is going to be gone and they'll be able to get on with their Christmas that they had planned. But obviously we kind of know, again, it's not a spoiler, but we know that that's probably not going to be the case. And one of the really nice things is if you are a Millie Johnson fan and have read any of her more recent novels, you will know that in her recent books, she's got a newspaper called The Daily Trumpet, where they print some very erroneous headlines. People take out ads and they just do, really bad spelling mishaps or autocorrect type of things that they're always having to apologize for. And we do follow in one of the books, the lawyer for the Daily Trumpet that has to fix all these things. But in this one, we have a local radio station. And we sort of have this local radio station to tie all our kind of days and chapters together the same way that in her other novels, we've got the Daily Trumpet to tie these chapters together. So if you're a fan of that in her novels, fear not. While the Daily Trumpet does not feature in this one, we do have radio. I think it's Bernie, BBC Bernie, and he's very funny, and we've got some wonderful Christmas music mentioned in there. And what's nice about this one is that obviously it's set in Yorkshire, and so it's got some good Yorkshire humor in there, but it's got some tough things that we have to deal with in life as well. But it being Millie Johnson, we do so in a sort of comedic way at Christmas time with Christmas music playing out of this local radio station. And so it's lovely. And the hardcover is just beautiful. Let's face it. It's just lovely. So it's got snow all the way around. So I had to show the actual physical book for that one. But yeah, I did that one on audio as well. And the narrator was very good and did very different voices for the different characters, because we have an older gentleman and then a couple of women who are all sort of in the middle part of life, but varying ages in there, and she narrates them very well. So there we have it. Our top 10 Christmas reads of 2020, which you said you had a very hard time picking.
I did, yes. I have read quite a lot of books this Christmas, and it's quite tricky, really, to be put on the spot, because I could probably talk for about an hour just on the ones that I've read.
Yeah, you've definitely read more festive books than me this year.
Yeah,
I think, in years past, I feel like I've maybe read some more, but I started early this year, though, with the Christmas books. Started very early.
I had one in September.
I feel like I read one in August. I'm not complaining. I'll read Christmas books any time of year.
I'm the same. I will read Christmas books or watch Christmas films anytime at all.
Yeah.
But I think it's they are very escapist, aren't they? I mean, I know all books are really, but I think in particular Christmas ones are, because you're guaranteed it's going to be a good time, and everybody's going to end up happy. So
yeah, definitely. Well, as I said at the beginning, do let us know in the comments if you would like to see our top 10 Christmas reads of all time, because I have a few favorites that I have reread. And I know that some of the authors that we've talked about today will probably feature in that list as well, which is quite cool. It's quite nice to know. And yeah, if you have joined us live today, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everybody that has commented. But yeah, do let us know in the comments if you want to see that video. And if you are watching this afterwards, all of the links are below. Vlogmas playlist is linked up above. And my blog and my Goodreads are linked. And all of the books we've talked about here are all reviewed on the blog. So if you want to read a full written review from either of us, all 5 books that we've each talked about are reviewed on the blog. And the Carole Matthews, the first book, Happiness for Beginners, and Christmas for Beginners, were both reviewed on the blog this week. So if you want to see full written reviews, they're on there. And yeah, do you have anything else that you would like to add before we end this live Christmas book discussion? No?
No. Oh, sorry, you're asking me.
I was talking to you.
I thought you were asking the audience.
Right.
No. I just again would like to say thank you for asking me. And
Always.
I'm quite happy if people would like to hear the top 10 favorite Christmas books. But I'm just thinking, gosh, that's going to be quite a problem choosing them. But
well, you've already eliminated these 5 because we've already talked about these 5. So
yeah. I have been thinking about it. I've picked out 7 so far.
I wonder if we have any crossover. We'll have to discuss that.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I keep sort of coming up with another one, thinking, oh yes, that would be good. Yeah.
Okay, well, like I say, if you have joined us live, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this afterwards, also thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed so that my next Vlogmas video lands in your subscription feed, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified if we do post our top 10 as a live. You'll get notified as soon as we go live. And thank you so much to Mum for coming and discussing with me today.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And yeah, I will be back with another video for you tomorrow. So I will see you then. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Merry Christmas.